And sometimes we read verses like that and we say, I don't know how people do that. Until we realize, oops, we do that. Look at the end of the verse. It says, and then comes to the prophet. So he set up an idol in his heart, but then he wants advice from the prophet. I, the Lord, will be brought to give him an answer. I'll step in the matter in view of the multitude of his idols, in order to lay hold of the hearts of the house of Israel, who are estranged from me, verse 5, through what? All their idols. Idols are stumbling blocks of estrangement. They push you away from God because you start worshiping them instead of God. And if you read this chapter, and I would encourage you to read it, we don't have time right now, you will see these words get stronger. And God basically says, if you don't stop, I'm going to step in and deal with you radically. Radical stuff. This is the word of the Lord. These are the stumbling blocks for so many. What are they? Go back to Luke, pop culture. You know, this is cool, this is the way. What are they? False teachers. Do you know that it's possible for a false teacher to be a stumbling block in that he may give incorrect teaching? Or think of this, and this is a word to pastors. Or if you omit what people need to hear, that is, you don't teach the full counsel of God, then Ezekiel, quoted by Paul in Acts 20, we talked about this at our Bible study, says that the blood of those people, this is radical, is on your hands. If you don't warn them like the watchman on the wall, if you see an army coming and you don't blow that warning blast of the trumpet to warn those people, you're responsible. But if you warn them, if you blow the trumpet and they don't leave or take shelter or cover, then it's on them. But it's on you if you don't preach the truth. And there are many pulpits today omitting the truth of the Word of God for the sake of whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to judge their motives. But the bottom line is, if they don't hear truth, then how can we respond in a biblical way? How do we know that actually the Bible does teach that Christians will suffer if we never talk about suffering? How do we know that the ultimate measure of a man's walk with the Lord is not how much money he has, unless we teach what Jesus actually said about this? We can't measure things properly unless we have truth. Jesus is saying, these are the stumbling blocks. And of course, he knows the Pharisees are listening. And they go land and sea to search for a proselyte, and they make them, when they get them, twice the child of hell as they themselves are. That's Jesus. That's not me. He says, you'll go land and sea to tell them to come into your little group and do your oaths and things your own way. But as we saw last time, they're divorcing their wives for reasons that are not biblical. They're looking for loopholes. They don't really care about the poor, at least the bulk of them don't. And Jesus has challenged them to the core. Now there's a parallel section that I'll take you to in a moment, but we've only done one verse so far. But we'll move quickly through the other ones. But notice, of these stumbling blocks, Jesus says it's inevitable that they're going to come. In a fallen world, there's going to be things that cause people to fall. Look at 17:1. But woe, woe is a word used in the Bible for an expression of pity mixed with judgment. It's used in the book of Revelation. Isaiah said, woe is me before the Lord. Woe to him through whom these stumbling blocks come, the source of them. It would be better for him if a millstone, that which crushed the grain, and a donkey actually had to pull it to accomplish this, it was so heavy. It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. Just think of it this way. Jesus says it would be better to die the worst kind of violent death than you should cause one of these little ones to stumble. And the little ones, if you read on this, commentators will have different opinions, but they say little ones are either those who are vulnerable, think of little, like a little child, who are coming to Christ, like the tax collectors and sinners, Luke 15:1 and 2, who are pressing against him to hear him, or the little ones may be new believers who are very susceptible, to being led astray. Jesus said it would be better for you to die a violent death. I think I was reading a commentary this week, and a pastor said he used to meet with his staff of pastors. And I don't think I would ever pray this, but this is what he prayed. He said, Lord, if you know that any of us are about to commit adultery on our lives, kill us now. And you just go, what? Those are not the prayers that I want to be praying. No. Why did you even bring it up, Pastor Michael? Because I needed others to share in my own struggles. See, if I share this, then you have to bear the burden too. But you get the point. It would be better that happened to us than we would stumble a bunch of people who are coming to Christ in sincere and genuine faith. Go to Matthew 18, 2 books back. So Jesus brings this up in Matthew 18. He says these words. There's a fuller treatment on this idea. He's talking about you got to become like little children and humble yourself if you want to enter the kingdom of God. He talks about if you receive a child in my name, you receive me. Matthew 18:6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who, now we get more detail, who believe in me to stumble, there's our word. Matthew 18:6, middle of the verse. It'd be better for him that a heavy millstone be hung around his neck, and that he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world. Of course, the world is full of these. Because of its stumbling blocks, they belong to the world. For it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come. But woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes. And notice Jesus. Now, if you have a stumbling block in the way, of course, we're all looking for solutions, right? What do? Okay, we talked about something like get it, scandal on, things in the way, trip people up. What do you do if there's a stumbling block? Well, look at what Jesus says. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. Now, he's using hyperbole. We don't want a bunch of you going home and trying to cut off body parts. That's not what he's saying. But he's using hyperbolic visual language, which they would do in that culture, to show you to take radical measures with things that stumble you. Well, what do? We toy with them. I'll put it in the closet just in case I might need that later. What? That thing stumbles you every time you pull it out of the closet. I know, but I think things will change. See, we have an agreement, me and that stumbling block. I can keep that unfiltered computer. I can keep that channel. I can handle it. But deep down, you know you're playing a game. And Jesus says, if that's the case, cut it off and throw it from you. It's better for you to enter life crippled or lame, having 2 hands or 2 feet than to be cast, than having 2 hands and 2 feet than to be cast into what? Eternal fire. If your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it from you. Think of stumbling blocks now. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than having 2 eyes and be cast into the, there it is again, the fiery hell. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that their angels in heaven continually behold the face of my Father who is in heaven. Now this is an interesting verse. Some believe that it means that all of us have a guardian angel. Why does Jesus bring it up now? Maybe because if you're stumbling others, you may have angels mad at you. That's not what I want to be happening. For the Son of Man, this is in brackets, not in the earliest and best manuscripts, but interesting. For the Son of Man has come to what? Save that which was lost. Now what do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, think of the flow of the thought. Does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go and search for the one that is straying? And if it turns out that he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than the 99 which have not gone astray. Thus it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones perish. If your brother sins, and this will come up in our text, go and reprove him in private. If he listens to you, you've won your brother. If he does not listen to you, take 1 or 2 more with you, so that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every fact may be confirmed. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. If he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax gatherer. We could think of it as a potential convert. All that flows behind this is the idea of restoration of the straying sinner. Truly I say to you, whatever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth, the flow of thought is church discipline or a straying person being warned, shall be loosed in heaven. Whatever you agree upon in terms of how the church handles something will be sanctioned by God in heaven. That's a thought. And again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth about anything, it's related to this flow of thought, that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who's in heaven. For where 2 or 3 have gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst. The thought is church discipline and chasing down the lost. It doesn't mean that you have to have 2 or 3 people for Jesus to be in your midst. Just so we understand that. Because Jesus said, go pray in your closet by yourself. Is he not there if you don't have additional people? That's not the context, folks. He's there if you pray by yourself. He wants you to pray by yourself as well. Then Peter came and said to him, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me? This is a natural question. And I forgive him. Up to 7 times. Now the rabbis, based upon some Old Testament text, said 3 times was the limit of God's forgiveness, so why give any more than God gives? So somebody sins against you 3 times, on the 4th time, it's over, baby. Sorry, open the alligator pit, you're done. That's my limit. So Peter thought he was being, gracious. And Jesus said, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times.